All right, everybody. Shalom and welcome to the Yishai Fleisher Show, broadcasting live from Judea. You're a part of it wherever you are. Let me switch the headphones here. Oh, yeah, let me put it like this. That's better. Right. Okay, so great to be with you. Shalom. And I'm in a great mood to be with you because I'm in the land of Israel. And it is a gift and an honor and a pleasure and a blessing to be broadcasting from here. And it's also a blessing to hear from you wherever you are. So please do me a favor and in the comment section, put a little blessing from wherever you are around the world. And we have a lot to talk about today. Let's just start the program by clicking all the right buttons and getting everybody to start coming in from all over the world. And definitely give us a blessing. Let us know where you are from. Today, we have a lot of hot issues to discuss. From MAMDANI to Hamas to the Bible. That's right. We're going to do some good Bible session today as well. We're not going to just keep it all political. We're going to also do some real Bible, get back to it. And I'm looking forward to sharing all that with you. And so happy Sunday, happy new week wherever you are. Let's get together and talk about the things that really matter. For example, people writing all kinds of nice things from Kenya and from Chicago and Brooklyn. I see Brooklyn and Chicago, and I see the Czech Republic. I'm a friend of the Czech Republic, definitely. I drive a Czech car. I used to have a Czech gun. Maybe I will again. I was in Australia, so I see people saying hello from Australia and prayers from Australia. Canada, I just had pastors from Canada today, and of course we have folks in Eretz Yisrael, including Settler 1818, somebody after my own heart, and people from Sacramento, all kinds of folks. Los Angeles in the house, lots of good folks saying hi from all over the place, from Manchester, England. And my good friend Mike Isley from Texas, Texans from Israel, Nevada. All kinds of folks are showing up from all over the place. That's right, Texas. That's right. Texas will not be South Africa. It will not be kept down. It will be brought into the fold. We will learn from Texas. We will appreciate the Texas spirit here. And of course, we have Birmingham, right? And I'm not even saying that right. So there are folks from all over the world. All right. So I want to tell you, last week was a really busy week. I had tours. Important folks came into town. This week is also busy. And the first thing that it's busy with is that at Hebron, the Jewish community of Hebron, we have our cause match where we try very hard to get support for the important things that we do. So let me play a little video right off the bat here just to give you a sense of what we do in Hebron and why Hebron is so important for your love of Israel. Check this out.
I am so excited to tell you about all the growth that we're experiencing around Hebron. For the first time in 20 years, we're able to move in new families into Hebron.
Despite the grueling 2 years of the war, the hostages, and all that the Jewish nation has gone through, here in Hebron, the tough get tougher, and we continue to grow, to expand, new neighborhoods, new homes purchased, new archaeological digs. We continue to spread out and to expand our Jewish presence throughout the biblical city, following in the footsteps of our patriarch Abraham.
With the expansion of our community, our security needs grow. Help us secure Hebron.
אנחנו משפחת סולימן, חגי ובתיה, יש לנו 5 ילדים, אנחנו גרים בחברון מזה 6 שנים, והיום אנחנו חודשיים גרים בשכונת נצח דוד, שכונה חדשה. זוכים לגור פה 3 משפחות בחלק הכי מערבי של חברון, פשוט פותחים שטח חדש לכל היישוב היהודי.
חברון הולכת ומתפתחת, הבתים שנגלים, השכונות שמתפתחות, גם נצח דוד זה חלק מהתהליך שקורה בכל יהודה ושומרון, אבל בטח בחברון בשנתיים האחרונות. אנחנו בטוחים שזה התחלה והמשך של פריצה של חברון. חברון הולכת לגדול ועם ישראל חוזר לארצו ועם ישראל חוזר לנחלת אבותיו, לחברון עיר האבות. זה מרגש השלב הזה שאנחנו נמצאים בו ואנחנו בטוחים שזה ילך ויתקדם.
אנחנו גרים פה באוטובוס מאחורינו עם 6 הילדים המתוקים שלנו. אנחנו ליד מסגד, בית ספר של ערביות, כאילו זה קצת ברמה הביטחונית, אנחנו עדיין כאן עוד מנסים להרגיש בטוחים.
בעזרת השם אנחנו מקווים שתהיה פה שכונה של ממש עם עוד משפחות וקרוונים יביאו לפה ונוכל לטייל פה בכל האזור, בשבילים, ברחובות. אברהם אבינו בא לגור פה, גם אנחנו שמחים על הזכות לגור פה ואנחנו מרגישים גם את האבות ואת האימהות איתנו.
ואם תשאל את הילדים שלנו איפה הם רוצים לגור בנצח דוד או לחזור לבית הגדול והנקי שלנו בקריית ארבע, נראה לי שאתה תקבל את התשובה מכולם שהם רוצים לגור בנצח דוד, בלי להתלבט בכלל.
You know, the Jewish community of Hebron and the Hebron Fund, we have a lot of projects. Tomb of Ruth and Yishai, the new neighborhood of Ner Ben Ner, beautification of this site behind us, the community, the army. We got so many things that are happening here. We're connecting the Jewish people to the roots of our history, of our story, of our identity. You can beautify the land of Israel. You can make Judea flourish when you support the Hebron Fund.
We've never had an opportunity like this before. With your support, we can get those new security cameras to secure the families, floodlighting, playgrounds, and all the infrastructure that's needed in order to grow Hebron. So click on the link that you see on your screen, be a partner with us, and let's move Hebron forward like we've never done before. Thank you for your support.
Okay, so that's the Hebron Fund, and they have right now their our campaign, and I want to ask everybody to jump in there. And all you have to do to find my ambassadors page is go to hebronfund.org and then go to the Yishai Fleisher ambassador page and, you know, be on my team. You know, there's other folks in the Hebron Fund. They're good people, but you want to be on my team, of course. So that'll be a lot of fun. And that's what we're doing right now. And you saw there's a new neighborhood there. There's this family that lives on a bus. It's just the best stuff. It's really the best stuff. It's settling the land of Israel, and it's making our claim clear. Our claim clear. Now, speaking of making our claim clear, we had JD Vance in country, and that was, I guess, last week. And then what happened was, at the very same time, the Knesset made a vote, and the vote was for Jewish sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. Then a lot of people were saying that was a very bad timing of the vote. It was stupid. And that's what he said. Vance was next to his airplane. He said that the vote, that Israeli parliament's vote for sovereignty was a stupid, because somebody told him it was a political trick, so it was stupid. And he used this very demeaning language. And later on, he followed up more demeaning language about Israel. So we got a real problem with Vance. But I wanted to understand whether the timing of that vote was indeed not a good idea. Should we have not told the Americans that we actually want sovereignty in our land? And so I wanted to ask Knesset member Simcha Rothman, who is a member of the Knesset with the Religious Zionist Party, and he's one of Israel's leading voices on issues of law, democracy, governance. He's a lawyer, but he founded, not only is he a lawyer, but he founded the movement for governability and democracy, which advocates for strengthening the role of elected officials and rebalancing power between Israel's branches of government. Today, he serves as the chairman of the Knesset's Constitution, Law, and Justice Committee, where he was one of the main people behind our effort to have judicial reform. Knesset member Simcha Rothman, let's see if we could get you into the program. Shalom. Shalom and welcome.
Shalom, shalom.
Nice to have you, Knesset member Simcha Rothman. Was the vote for sovereignty, quote unquote, stupid? Was it stupid?
No, I don't think it was stupid. I think that, of course, President Trump and Vice President Vance are Israel greatest friends. I don't think Israel ever had administration as friendly as we have today in the White House. But I think that Israel should say loud and clear what are our interests, and sovereignty is within our interests. It is supported by 80 Knesset members. It's a declaration. Even passing the legislation was a declaration, and declaration should not insult anyone. Of course, to make it happen underground, this is something that Prime Minister Netanyahu has to work with the administration to see. A lot of interests are at place. Of course, you talk about partial, full, where go, but to set the destination, to say the vast majority of the public in Israel is behind it. As we saw, also the opposition voted for sovereignty. So it's not an issue of the coalition. It's not an issue of the Tzionut Datit party, religious Zionism only, or Otzma Yehudit, or even Likud. It's an issue of the entire public of Israel that supports sovereignty, wants sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, and we need to go forward with it.
So what was that? What was that reaction? Maybe, what was that Vance reaction, which seemed so stern and kind of like it just didn't seem like the kind of stuff that we wanted to hear our ally talk to us like that. What was that about?
I don't know, and maybe I'm not sure. The event was explained to him as I explained it to you, and
Right.
maybe that's part of the issue. But I think it's the role of the Israeli government to stand behind Israeli interest, to say it loud and clear, this is our interest. And my head of party, Bezalel Smotrich, gave the example. He said that when President Trump was first introduced to the importance that the Israeli public and Israeli government is giving to the issue of the hostages, he was amazed. He said he did not understand it in the beginning. He said, we have hostages all around the world. We deal with it in our way, in our time. We won't set it as a part of the goals of the war to release the hostages. Hostages is something that we care about, of course, deeply, but we won't put it at such a high level as the Israeli society. We are not willing, the US is not willing to pay those prices for hostages that the Israeli society and Israeli public is for. After it was explained to him, he said, okay, if that's the interest of the state of Israel, I will try to make it happen. And he did. He did wonders. I have to say, I did not believe he will reach this kind of outcome. But President Trump, he said, this is important to our friends, the Israelis. It's important it's the goals of the war. Let's do it. And he did it. So the state of Israel must say very clear to President Trump, to Vice President JD Vance, say sovereignty over Judea and Samaria is extremely important to the Israeli public. And we have to make sure that we don't give up on this because of other important issues. It should always stay on the table, and to see how to do it together with our friends in coordination with them.
Let's watch the video of JD Vance's reaction and get a sense of the way he understood the issue of the Israeli Knesset voting for Jewish sovereignty in Judea and Samaria.
Go ahead, we'll do, yeah. The West Bank vote yesterday that took place while you were in the country.
Hold on 1 second. I don't see it for some reason. Let's do that again.
That was weird. I was sort of confused by that. Now, I actually asked somebody about it, and they told me that it was a symbolic vote, some symbolic vote to recognize or a symbolic vote to annex the West Bank. I mean, what I would say to that is when I asked about it, somebody told me that it was a political stunt, that it had no practical significance. It was purely symbolic. I mean, look, if it was a political stunt, it was a very stupid political stunt, and I personally take some insult to it. The West Bank is not going to be annexed by Israel. The policy of the Trump administration is that the West Bank will not be annexed by Israel. That will continue to be our policy. And if people want to take symbolic votes, they can do that. But we certainly weren't happy about it. Thank you.
Okay. What do you say, Knesset Member Simcha Rothman?
And it's not. I don't think it's as Vice President Vance said. Someone explained it to him. I believe the someone that explained it to him did not do such a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he definitely did not seem to understand it. And I agree with you that they don't understand that it's important to us. In some sense, I thought to myself, this vote was great. It was a great time to send the message to the Vice President of the United States. This is important to us. This is important to our Knesset.
Again, as I said, I don't think I need to criticize JD Vance. I think that, as he said himself, someone explained it to him, not in such a good way, and he knows. He said he's confused about it because apparently the person who explained it to him, the meaning of the vote, did not do such a good job. I have to say, I practically live in the Knesset. And sometimes I find it hard to understand exactly what's going on in this building. So I would not expect the Vice President of the United States to be well versed in what's happening in the Knesset, and especially if someone with political interest explained it to him in the wrong way.
I understand. Okay. Now, you have been a campaigner for judicial reform. You have for a long time said that the judiciary elects itself. You have said that Israel suffers from a kind of deep state. I sometimes make a joke to people. I say, what you guys call deep state in America, we just call it the state here in Israel. But
we call it deep shtetl.
Deep shtetl, that's right. The deep shtetl, that's right. Now, the deep shtetl has taken a big hit this week with the revelation that the chief army prosecutor may have been involved, and it was involved most likely in the release of a video that went around the world and condemned Israeli soldiers as abusing Hamas prisoners. Let's watch a little Israeli video, a Hebrew video from the news. We won't watch the whole thing, but just get a sense of what's happening in Israel vis-a-vis this raging storm about the Army JAG chief officer.
טהרת הדלפת סרטון ההתעללות לכאורה משדה תימן ממשיכה לעורר גלים. הבוקר התפרסם כי האלופה יפעת תומר ירושלמי, הפרקליטה הצבאית הראשית שיצאה לחופשה סמוך לפתיחת החקירה.
Okay, so this is here the chief JAG officer. As you can see, even by her insignia, she's really one of the top officers in the army. And her name is Yifat Tomer Yerushalmi, and she's been accused of being one of the people who actually caused one of the worst PR crises that Israel faced during this whole war by releasing a video that suggested, and then later on it was even dropped, and suggested that there was some kind of sexual abuse by Israeli soldiers towards Hamas prisoners.
ידעה על הדלפת הסרטון, ואף נבדק אם הורתה בעצמה על ההדלפה.
And there's a suggestion that there's an accusation that she herself released this video and was in charge of okayed releasing this video into the public, which went global around the world and did tremendous damage to Israel. Here's your party leader, Minister of Finance, Bezalel Smotrich. Okay, he says that if this new information is true, that she has to go to prison. The state of it, the nation of Israel needs to know that the deep state is dangerous. It's dangerous to our fighters and to our officers. Dangerous to security and to democracy. Dangerous to justice. The fixes that we're trying to make in the Israeli democracy is meant to strengthen Israeli democracy.
גם שר הביטחון כץ, בטקס סיום קורס קצינים, מתייחס לפרשה.
Okay, so here's the Minister of Defense. He too mentioned this today.
אעשה הכל כדי לוודא שכל האמת בפרשה הזאת תיחשף.
I'm going to do everything to make sure that the truth comes out in the story and that it's not hidden, because what we have a situation that basically this kind of judicial junta is able to protect itself and defend itself and kind of cover it up. I'm going to make sure that the truth comes out. Anybody who took part in this this besmirching of Israel's name, justice will find them. All right, so that is some of that story. I wanted to get it from your take. This is, and as I understand that, this is well within your field, the issues that you've been fighting for a long time. Is that right, Knesset Member Simcha Rothman?
Yes, of course, and we have been talking about it for a lot of time. So I know this is recorded, but no,
we're live.
And live, but also recorded. That's but right. as we speak now, I don't know if you look at your phone while we speak, but now there are reports that she went missing. Yes. The military advocate general, the
Yes, I see a search underway for military advocate general.
Yeah. So and I have to say, listen, of course, I hope only also for her sake and also for the state of Israel's sake that she will be found well and healthy. Although I'm very worried, but also it's also for her sake, but also for the sake of the state of Israel, because we want the truth, and of course this will be a blow to the truth search in this issue. But also, I have to say, the fact that she was not arrested, and if she is now going missing, I don't know where she is, but the fact that she was not arrested, just by that shows what is the biggest problem in Israeli justice system. The fact that the chief legal advisor, Gali Berav Miara, Attorney General, that supposed to be in charge, was supposed to be in charge of the investigation. Justice Minister Levine said you cannot be involved because you are in a conflict of interest. She said, no, I will deal with it. And the fact that we see the change when other high-ranking officials were investigated for leaks, especially for leaks that involved state security, they were arrested immediately. Their phones were taken away. Some of them were not allowed for legal advisor in the first few days because they wanted to make sure that no evidence is being tampered with. And the fact that it did not happen in this case might have, and I don't want to jump to any conclusion, but might have endangered the ability of the state of Israel to know what is the truth. And I think that the fact that the legal advisors, I have tomorrow morning a hearing in the Knesset on this issue, because the fact that the legal advisor did not recuse herself from this case already created damages.
Wait. Why should she recuse herself? Why is that?
She should recuse herself for a few reasons. One is it was the Attorney General people that gave a false affidavit to the Supreme Court on behalf of the JAG commander. So did they know? Didn't they know? What did they know exactly? What was told for them? They need to be investigated, right? She cannot be in charge to investigate her own people. I have to remind you that the Attorney General said that Prime Minister cannot appoint the head of the Shabak because one of his people might be investigated, and now she is in charge of an investigation for her own people. That's a conflict of interest, right there. There is also it was published and was never denied. She was asked about it in my committee and never gave an answer. That the Attorney General for the Army, the JAG commander, closed a case that was for her son. Her son was supposed to be investigated. The son of the Attorney General was supposed to be investigated on a criminal issue inside the Army, and the JAG commander closed the case. So how can she investigate this? All this, it's very troubling, and the fact that the news are unveiling as we are speaking now, and the fact that we know that this investigation was tampered with to begin with, when the Attorney General Gali Berav Miara did not recuse herself and start to get into a fight between herself and Justice Minister Levine and my committee, shows that she should never be in charge of this investigation. I don't know what damages she already caused, but it has to stop right now.
Knesset member Simcha Rothman, you and I were at an event in Jerusalem celebrating Judea and Samaria, together with American Friends of Judea and Samaria and JNS Media. I asked you to come on my show. I told you that I want to talk about the vote, the sovereignty vote. I didn't know we were going to have to talk about this whole Army JAG story. But then you told me a third thing. You told me another issue, and I tell you the truth, I don't remember. I remember that it was important. What else was on your what else is on your radar screen that you think that people got to know what's going on in Israel?
So now we are we talk about sovereignty. We talked about the new development, but the new development is not really new. The justice system in Israel, we're seeing now an example of the terrible things that happen in the justice system in Israel. We have the separation of powers of the legal advisor that the legislation that passed in the Knesset. After many months, it waited because of the ultra-Orthodox boycott on votes in the Knesset. So it was removed in order to pass my bill for the separation of powers of the legal advisor. The fact that what we are dealing with now, as we speak, we already had legislation that should have solved it. The fact that we have one person who is also advising to the government and his advices are binding. She's also represents the government in courts and decide what position of the government will be represented and what will not be represented. And also the chief prosecutor. And everything is under Gali Berav Miara, the Attorney General. That creates inherited conflict of interest that we are dealing now with, maybe with a tragic outcome of this conflict of interest. We have to deal with it, and we have to deal with it fast.
Why does one person have so much power in our country?
No one touched this amazing powers that Attorney General have most of the time because of fear. We are talking about a person that can prosecute judges, can prosecute members of Knesset, can prosecute ministers, can prosecute the prime minister, can prosecute all the police officers. So the fact that he holds so much power prevents dealing with his power. So judicial reform, we passed it. We passed most of it, I have to say. We changes the way we select our judges. It will be in effect from next Knesset. We appointed an ombudsman for the judges. We passed the reasonability clause. The court said it canceled it, but the court lacked the authority to do so. We took away power from the bar, who held unaccounted power. Unaccountable power. And this is a work in progress. We are now separating the roles of the Attorney General, and I hope it will be at the end holds such amount of power. One of the professors actually was a left-wing guy, who a professor for political science in Israel. One of the main experts was winner of a recipient of the Israel Prize and all the high prizes on political science in Israel. Professor Shlomo Avineri said that the most powerful person in the world, in the democratic world, all around the world, is not the President of the United States. It's not the Prime Minister of England. It's not anyone you can imagine. It's the Attorney General in Israel. The amount of power this position holds in its hand is really unheard of. There is no other country with this amount of power in an unelected official hands, and this has to change, and we're working to do it. My bill passed last week, and off we go.
Is the fact that a new head of the GSS, Israel's FBI, the Shabak, is that also part of that change that will bring to a kind of fresh air and more balance to the system?
Yes, of course, and I think without the appointment of the chief of the ISA, the Shabak, General Zini, I think if he wasn't to be appointed, we wouldn't get all this information. The information that we got now concerning what happened with this leak came from the Shabak, and the former Shabak head was actually working in very close proximity with the Attorney General. The Attorney General, as we saw, is covering this investigation. He's tampering with this investigation while suffering a severe conflict of interest.
Okay, two more questions for you, Knesset member Simcha Rothman. First one is the ultra-Orthodox are really they've left the government. They're not voting against the government, but they've left the government, and they had a major rally in Jerusalem. Different numbers, supposed to be 1 million man, but it was 250,000 people probably. But it was a big rally. A lot of people that I know are very upset about that rally. There was everything from climbing on top of very tall buildings and cranes, which was endangering people's lives, to throwing bottles at Channel 12 reporters, to the very message, which is somehow that Israel, there were posters that even said that Israel's an enemy state. There was some really tough stuff there. And the background of it is that a large part of the society, or at least some of the rabbis, the leadership says they don't want to join the Israeli army. And so I've heard reports that in the next government in Israel, and right now it's slated to be elections in about a year, the right wing, the nationalist camp, does not want the ultra-Orthodox inside of the coalition. I want just to get your reaction a little bit on the rally, on this. I'm working now with the ultra-Orthodox. There was for a long time a sense that there was a brit, a covenant between the right wing and the ultra-Orthodox camp. Is that fraying? How do you see it?
So first, I think that the alliance, the covenant between the ultra-Orthodox and the right wing in Israel is very deep, because the sentiment, the deep sentiment of the public, the ultra-Orthodox public, is very strong Jewish and very strong Jewish values. There is a big problem with the draft. I am a member of the Religious Zionist Party. It's not a secret. I volunteered to the army. I did not have to go. I volunteered to the army. I believe that going to the serving in the IDF is not only something that you should do because you're a citizen of the state of Israel. I think it's something you should do because you're a Jewish person who keeps Torah. Because I believe the Torah tells you have to go to the army and you have to defend your country. And the best soldier and the example of what soldier and commander is King David. He was a Talmid Chacham and he was a soldier. And you can do both, and you should do both. This is my view. The Haredi society was not built around it, though it wasn't such a. It's not something that cannot be changed or was not changed in the past. I grew up in Bnei Brak, a Haredi city. I went to Haredi school, which most of the families came from the Tilumi, from Religious Zionist Party. Most of my teachers had the reserve duty, and they participated in the army and joined, and I think it's a possibility to return to this era. It should happen in a way that respects the differences between the generally Israeli public and the ultra-Orthodox public. It should happen in a way that understands the needs of the IDF and the abilities of the IDF to cater to the needs of the ultra-Orthodox soldiers, like Hashmonaim unit, or like the different Haredi Hesder yeshivas that I'm very supportive of, and other means of them to join the IDF. It cannot happen if you go to a full blown-out war against the Haredi society. That will not bring Haredi soldiers. That's why we need to work. We don't need to give up on our values. We don't need to give up on the demand, but we need to work with them and not against them. And sadly, and again, it's mostly what created this conflict is the court and the Attorney General. They created this conflict. They sent arrest warrants as if that's a solution. It's not a solution to send arrest warrants to people that you don't have units to get them, even if they come to the army. If all the people who got warrants to come to the IDF will come tomorrow to the IDF won't have anything to do with them because it cannot absorb them into the IDF. It needs to be a process. We need to work on this process, and I believe we'll see a great change in that. Even if we pass the draft bill for the draft, what's on the table today, if we'll pass it without getting any change, and I know that many people are upset because it gives too much or whatever, it will be more than any other government ever did to recruit Haredim into the IDF.
So
And
how do you understand the protest? So you see it with a
so the protest comes because again, I do not agree with the protest, but I believe it was a huge mistake against the better judgment of the government. Attorney General Gali Berav Miara made the IDF send warrants and arrest warrants to thousands and tens of thousands of yeshiva boys, and this will not create any goodwill to bring the IDF any new soldiers.
Okay. Last question for you, Knesset member Simcha Rothman. When I open up your full background, I see some pictures. I see a picture of Charlie Kirk. I see a picture of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, and then I see a picture of who is that? Is that
Rabbi Druckman?
Rabbi Druckman from
and you see the Declaration of Independence, and also you see whiskey, but that's besides the point.
Okay, so just tell us a little bit about these three men that you have pictures of in the background, if you can. Just a little bit. Why you have these three men in your Knesset office?
Of course, no comparison made. I'm not comparing, of course, anyone from the pictures. But Rabbi Druckman was a great rabbi for the religious Zionist group in Israel. He was also a Knesset member, by the way, before. He understood that there is a need for the guidance of Torah to the work in the Knesset. As a faction, we went to consult with him many times and asked him about many issues concerning the decisions we need to make as politicians in Israel that wants to guide ourselves in the views of the religious Zionist spirit and the Torah. So we went to him a lot. May his memory be of blessing, of course. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, I think especially as someone who stands strong against the two-state solution and for sovereignty over Judea and Samaria, and to stand on the issues of Shlemut Haaretz, the fact that the
wholeness of the land of Israel.
Yeah, one of the main values is that the Lubavitcher Rebbe was speaking about time and again, encouraged every politician that came to him to stand strong on this issue. It's connected to what we spoke in the beginning of even to speak. I would say to speak truth to power, even when you stand with administrations in the United States that were much less friendlier than the current administration. He encouraged all the leaders of the state of Israel to stand strong on the wholeness of the land of Israel. And Charlie Kirk, as again, no comparison here, but also a very strong believer in to speak truth, to stand on truth, to be to say what you believe, that a discourse on the values is extremely important, especially for young people in this day and age. And he was killed because he was not afraid to speak his mind everywhere and stand on his values. And when I heard the news about him being assassinated, I was really devastated, and I thought for a week. I know he was a Christian, so no Shiva, but for a week I put this picture in the committee room. But I kept the picture even after in my room as a reminder of the importance of speaking truth and the importance of getting into debates, even with people who do not agree with you.
Knesset member Simcha Rothman, you are an MK at the Religious Zionist Party, and you're also the chair of Knesset Constitution, Law, and Justice Committee. Thank you so much for being with us today and talking about some of the tricky issues that Israel faces today. Toda rabah. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. That was really, really fun to speak with Simcha Rothman. He is eloquent, an English speaker, and knows the issues real well. Somebody who really knows the issues and is the most eloquent of them all is none other than Malkah Fleisher, co-hostess with the mostess. Shalom and welcome to you, Malkah. How are you? How you doing?
Hi, Yishai. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. That was it was an interesting thing that he said just now about the ultra orthodox. I think you heard that part. He was much more supportive of that rally, which I thought was I know a lot of people who are had issues with it, but he basically said no, it was actually the Supreme Court and the Attorney General who has caused a lot of problems and caused a lot of dissension and tension in the Israeli society by being one-sided and strong-handed. So that was surprising to me.
Right. It's an ongoing discussion.
That's right.
The place that the Haredim are going to get to in the state of Israel. Where are they going? Where should they be going? Different opinions from different people. I personally cannot but recognize the power and the strength and the vigor of the Haredi community. I personally have always been a big advocate of Haredi society being way more active in Israel because I think they would be a good influence on Israel. And I would like to see more of their flavor being represented in the big mix of Israel. And I guess that's something that, we have not solidified yet. They have not come to believe, like me, that they are one day going to be very important in leadership in Israel. But, the truth is marching on and history keeps going, and we'll see how it plays out.
All right, Malkah, let's have a little bit of fun and watch a few videos that have.
Okay, I have about 20 minutes, Yishai.
Thank you for telling me. I appreciate that. Here is Vance talking, JD Vance talking about Israel.
Vice President of the United States.
VP of the United States, JD Vance, talking about where he thinks Israel is in his America First outlook. And it's surprising his position on what Israel is. It's a totally different tone. Let's check it out together.
Okay.
Sometimes they have similar interests to the United States, and we're going to work with them. In that case, sometimes they don't.
Can it be louder?
The United States. In this example, the most recent Gaza.
All right, let's start this again. I don't have the ability to make this one louder for some reason. It will, but all right. You know what? It's not loud enough. Well, let's just play it anyway, Malkah. We'll boost it in post. Let me do the introduction again, okay, Malkah?
Sure.
Okay, just one second. It's tricky. Live TV is tricky. All right, so we're about to. Okay, here we go.
You're doing great, Yishai. First try.
All right.
Okay.
I wanted to show a video of Vice President JD Vance talking at some rally, and he's answering a question to some young guy about what Israel is, and you can see clearly he's distancing himself from Israel, saying, "Listen, Israel is an ally, but there's no special status for Israel." And then it's very interesting at the end of the video, he says what is special to him about Israel.
Sometimes they have similar interests to the United States, and we're going to work with them. In that case, sometimes they don't have similar interests to the United States. In this example, the most recent Gaza peace plan that all of us have been working on very hard for the past few weeks, the President of the United States could only get that peace deal done by actually being willing to apply leverage to the state of Israel. So when people say that Israel...
So according to JD Vance, pressure was applied to Israel to accept this so-called...
It wasn't our agreement. We didn't
right.
want to do the thing, but
right.
he made us do the thing.
Right. We didn't want to stop the war and cut a half of Gaza and give it to Hamas to control. Not a good idea. But the Americans forced us, says JD Vance.
Piece of information, duly noted.
Okay.
Manipulating or controlling the President of the United States. They're not controlling this President of the United States, which is one of the reasons why we'd be able to have some of the success that we've had in the Middle East. Now, you ask about...
Did he just insinuate that Israel's manipulating, controlling Israel and the United States, but not this president, and that's why there's successes in the Middle East? Not that Israel is a central partner for successes in the Middle East, that we're pushing back on jihadism, and there's nobody else that's pushing back on jihadism, and we're fighting against the the Houthi government in Yemen, and pushing back against Assad and pushing back against Iran wants to destroy the United States. Like, we're not an unbreakable partner. We're actually people who somehow Israel is somehow something that unduly influences the United States, but not this president. Is that what you heard?
I don't remember hearing Obama say anything like that.
The what?
That Israel's manipulative and that we have to be forced to do things. I don't remember that. It's a nasty little shift.
It's a nasty little shift. I like that. Okay, let's keep going.
Sort of Jews disagreeing with Christians on certain religious ideas. Yeah, absolutely. It's one of the realities is that Jews do not believe that Jesus Christ is the Messiah. Obviously, Christians do believe that. There are some significant theological disagreements between Christians and Jews. My attitude is, let's have those conversations. Let's have those disagreements when we have them. But if there are shared areas of interest, we ought to be willing to do that too. For example, I really care about one thing.
Okay, so he goes out of his way to be like, there's this big theological disagreement. There is a big theological disagreement. He's absolutely right. But it was just like a weird thing to say again, right? It's like,
well, what was the question? Maybe it had to do with the question.
Yeah, I don't know what the question was, but basically he is outlining what Israel, what we agree on and what we don't agree on. And so in this case, he says, we have this big disagreement. Now, you know what I always say in situations like this? I say, let's agree to agree, right? I'm always talking about what unites us,
right?
But in this case,
common ground,
right? But find common ground. But then in the end, what he says is like, well, there's this thing that we don't agree on, and here's what he says we do agree on.
Really care about is the preservation of the Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem. Christians believe that is the site where Jesus Christ was crucified, and also that his tomb is right there as well. My attitude is, if we can work with our friends in Israel to make sure that Christians have safe access to that site, that's an obvious area of common interest. I am fine with that.
That is the area of common interest? It's like Christians have been able to visit that site ever since Israel took control of the old city in 1967. Like, that's the big deal that he wants to work on together, not to better the world, not to further the Abraham Accords. Certainly, I see that he doesn't see the protection and of Israel and making sure that biblical thing comes to fruition. I see that that's not part of what his central agenda is. Like, his agenda is this place that's important to Christianity. Make sure that it's open. It's open, bro. What are we working on here?
I think it's way bigger than that.
Okay.
And I think that we should all freeze this moment in time and remember this speech for later. JD Vance is going to be running for president of the United States. He knows it. I know it. You guys know it. We all know it. Okay. And all the video is going to come up later. This was a question. This question really was a springboard for JD Vance to talk about the relationship between the United States and Israel.
Right.
And what is it that how does the United States approach Israel, at least in the JD Vance vision? The nicest thing that he could think of to say, the only thing, if he's trying to give some benefit of the doubt for those manipulative Jews, is that we make sure he can go to his church. This is a big deal. Okay? It is not a small deal. JD Vance trying to figure out what he can say nice about Israel, couldn't find anything.
Okay, so basically there was three things, right? One, we had to strong arm Israel. Two, Israel is generally manipulative, but this particular president is able to withstand it. And three, get me to my church on time.
That's fine. I appreciate, you know what I'm saying? And if I were a Christian, I would probably appreciate that too, right? That Israel, even though it's a Jewish state, maintains the holy sites of the Christianity and it's respectful and all that stuff. That is correct. But there's more, right? There's more to it than that. And if you like, I've seen now over the course of my not that short life, many politicians talk about Israel. I've seen people criticize Israel, and I've seen people praise Israel. And if I had to put JD Vance on the spectrum between praising Israel and criticizing Israel, there's no question that this was not a praising Israel. This is not a politician. This is not a potential leader who like has good feelings about maybe the Jews, because he did even mention like, here's the difference between Christians and Jews, which is one of those like taboo little things that we don't always talk about in public. You know what I mean? But he like went there, and he's just
like, oh, you're right. So basically it's like, we have to strong arm Israel.
Yeah.
To
we all know that Jews don't believe in our.
No, number two is like they infiltrate our government and tell us what to do. Not with this president, though.
Right.
And come on, we all know that they don't believe what we believe, which is the truth and the only way to salvation.
They are not truth believers.
Right. And
they, but they have good police, and they're nice about that. And that's all I care about. He literally said, that's all I care. I think he said the words, that's all I care about.
He says, I care a lot about this. All right, let's finish up with JD.
What I'm not okay with is any country coming before the interests of American citizens. And it is important for all of us, assuming we're American citizens, to put the interest of our own country first. That's what we're going to do. That's what we try to do every single day. I promise you.
Did you hear that, Malkah? What was in that one?
So I don't mind the United States putting its interest first.
No, but there was a subtle hint. There's a subtle dig, and the dig goes back to the beginning, which is like the dual loyalty thing.
I didn't see that.
It was like it. Don't know, because you have to read the rest of the stuff that they're putting out in that world, and they're always saying, Israel has got this other country that they care about. American Jews have this other country that they care about. So a subtle thing is like, as long as you put America first, I understand that. But the point is, there's a hint in there. Everything that he said had these little hints of, well, let's just put it this way. He doesn't love Israel. Let's just put it that way.
He does not love Israel. No,
he doesn't love Israel. Okay, JD, but I got to tell you that there are thousands just on my show and millions in the United States and billions around the world that love Israel and think that it is the return of the Jewish people to the land of Israel is a godly prophecy coming true, a godly thing that's happening in this world. And so many people understand what God is doing and want to be part of it. Says Generation Jacob 6760. He says a Catholic will never be a Zionist. Well, I have to tell you that I have a deeply Catholic friend who's a deep Zionist, but his point, the commenter right now, his point is also understandable. There's something very classic about JD's, what I heard was a kind of crusader talk. Like crusaders were like, the most important thing is the sepulcher. We got to, maintain that thing. And the rest, Israel is actually more of a problem and a hindrance than anything. But okay, there's a sepulcher.
Right. I think it goes back to something you said before, Yishai, which is that, you and I and people like us and a lot of the non-Jewish listeners and viewers here to your show understand that we live the kind of life where it is beneficial and even like maybe pleasing to God to find the common ground and to find what it is that we do agree on. Obviously, Judaism is not Christianity and Christianity is not Judaism. We all know this. And yet we manage to maintain a beautiful relationship between us, the Jewish people, and many people who espouse themselves to be Christians, who understand that we have a common goal and a common purpose and a God that we want to serve, and we believe that we can serve him together. And even though we don't necessarily understand it all the same way, we have those positive feelings and that positive understanding. And JD went out of his way to make sure people know that he does not see it that way.
Right. That's right.
He is not interested in the common ground, and he's not going to give lip service to all that, Old Testament, Abraham, none of that stuff. He's not interested in any of it. He is interested in his holy site, in his narrative, in his vision. And fair enough. right? Like he's entitled to that, and he's a smart man, and he's a free person. But like I heard it, right? We
Yeah.
heard it,
Yeah.
and we're
He may
not
be
going
a
to unhear it.
Christian. He may be a Christian, but he ain't no Christian Zionist. That's for sure.
No,
He does not see that.
he's
Now,
a Tucker Carlson.
right. Okay. Now check this out. Let's switch gears and go to another dude that made a humongous splash this week. 10 million views at least when I saw it last. And that is Kevin Roberts, who's the head of the Heritage Foundation, major number one think tank, conservative think tank in the United States. Here's what he had to say, Malkah. Check this out.
To say on this in the coming days, but today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic.
Duh. Okay. Thanks, bro. Everybody knows that, you know,
Glad
and
you
also
came on
Jews.
TV to talk
Yeah.
about
And
that.
also Jews can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. So thanks a lot. We get it. And you know what? Nobody ever said different.
Right, and Jews can critique, a Christian and not be anti-Christian as well.
Right. Or critique America and not be anti-America. Okay.
And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology.
Notice, Malkah, same language as JD Vance, right? Like there are places that we can work in concert together with Israel on these technical things.
Okay, I mean, I agree with that.
I do agree with that, but there's a but coming. And
all right,
that
let's hear it.
Okay, let's hear it.
But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington.
Oh, what was
All
that
right,
about?
That was mean.
First thing I just want to say that just you know, and this is not an apologetic, not all Jews are globalists, okay? Okay,
I'm a nationalist.
I'm a Jewish nationalist, and I, you know, whatever basically Texas believes in, except for Christianity, but the values of the Bible, the values of nationalism, the values of defense, I believe in. But what was he saying here? What was this but about? Remember, and notice that the but, he went to like any other country that comes before America. That's not good.
Maybe he means Qatar, Yishai.
No, because he started the thing clearly saying you don't have to reflexively follow the Jewish. We have some.
He didn't say Israel. I mean, he did talk about anti-Semitism.
No. He starts off with it being about Israel. Okay, here, look. He says.
There she is. Yep, I saw it.
Here, he says like this. Look.
When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation.
Why is Tucker Carlson always going to be friend of the Heritage Foundation? What if he becomes anti your values? What if he starts saying things like Sharia law is okay? Or maybe he starts saying that Churchill.
He did say Sharia law.
Right.
Okay.
I'm saying, or that Churchill is actually a villain, but Hitler is a misunderstood victim. What if he starts saying that Israel is not God's project, and that America is blessed through supporting this godly project? Why so reflexively are you defending this guy Tucker Carlson? Why? I mean, if you're so into a robust debate, why are you so uptight about debating
It's
this
part of the
thing?
robust debate.
I mean, what the robust debate is that you will forever, no matter what, defend the fearless leader, Tucker Carlson. Like, what's this about? What's this about? And, and you could hear it. There's the words. There's the but about Israel. There's the globalist class. There's this, this guy Tucker Carlson who's taking on Israel in an almost, what's the word I'm looking for, Malkah? When you keep on thinking about something over and over again, like he's obsessed with Israel. So, like what's this great support for him? Let's keep listening.
The venomous coalition attacking him are sowing division.
I am not part of any venomous coalition, bro. And I'm going to attack him. I'm not part of any venomous coalition. I'm just against somebody who's trying to attack me and trying to take away my story and trying to take away the partnerships that we've built for a long time. But I'm not part of any venomous coalition. But I'm going to attack this guy because he's sowing hate and lies about Israel and also genocide lies and all the major lies that he's doing out there.
Their attempt to cancel him will fail. Most importantly, the American people expect us to be focusing on our political adversaries on the left, not attacking our friends on the right. I disagree with, and even abhor, things that Nick Fuentes says. But canceling him is not the answer either. When we disagree with a person's thoughts and opinions, we challenge those ideas in debate. And we have seen success in this approach as we continue to dismantle the vile ideas of the left. As my friend Vice President Vance said last night, what I am not okay with is any country coming before the interest of American citizens, and it is important for all of us, assuming we are American citizens, to put the interest of our own country first. That's where our allegiance lies.
You notice, by the way, there's something that he repeated and that Vance said as well, which is something about the American citizens, assuming we are American citizens. I think that they think that there's some kind of cabal, some kind of Jewish cabal. And maybe there are annoying Jewish donors or like, take off this evil Tucker Carlson. Maybe. I mean, just to be fair, Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, Candace Owens, and what's his name? The MMA fighter
Jackson
guy.
Hinkle?
No, the MMA. What's his name?
I can't remember his name right now.
These are the top.
Scream it out in the comments, people. You know who we're talking about. Who is it?
These are the top folks out in the media. They're huge on all the platforms. They're gigantic. Joe Rogan. Sure,
Joe Rogan.
Sure,
thank
yeah.
you. Yes.
So it's like, I'm sure that there's a lot of Jewish donors who are really concerned about this stuff and are calling and saying, "Hey, I'm really concerned. Why are you platforming this guy?"
Also, I want to say, like, this whole thing is about vigorous debate, like the vigorous debate. The Tucker Carlson, Nick Fuentes, coffee clutch was not a debate. That was a schmooze between people who are happy to see each other and want to talk about the things that they like and jointly agree on. There was no debate that happened there. So, I don't think that people...
They're not talking about just that conversation. They're talking in general about that these people should not be canceled.
This video was a reaction to Tucker Carlson bringing Nick Fuentes on his show. And then Roberts goes on to say that he, believes in vigorous debate. You played it just now, and I abhor the things that Nick Fuentes says, but, vigorous debate is part of our society or whatever. But people aren't upset because there was a vigorous debate that was part of our society, and they don't want vigorous debate. People were upset that Tucker just simply platformed the like monstrous ideas of a monster, Nick Fuentes, who openly hates a lot of people. Okay, openly hates a lot of people, and especially Jews.
Well, I'm going to be making a video about Nick Fuentes. I think there's a little bit. I think actually Tucker is an anti-Israel guy, and Fuentes is a little bit more nuanced. He's like a weird and interesting dude. And
I know you have a soft spot in your heart for Nick Fuentes.
I wouldn't say that exactly. I would just say that I think that we're going to hear him out. But the bottom line is that I have a feeling that Kevin Roberts has been approached by donors, Jewish donors. And by the way, they just released the list of top 10 global billionaires, and there's 6 of them who are Jewish. Okay, so I'm sure
Sorry,
that
sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
Let's let
Yeah, after
Kevin.
this, Yishai, I gotta run. I gotta pick up our kid from sports.
I totally understand. Hold on one second.
And that's where it will stay.
Okay, that's where it'll stay. Heritage. Okay, great. Bottom line is that I just on the one hand, I want to tell Kevin Roberts, bro, don't worry. Nobody's taking away your vigorous debate. And I think part of what you don't like is that the folks that gave you guys money that you took very nicely when it suited you are like, we don't like this, is hurting our feelings. And so you think that that's taking away debate. No, it's just that some people just don't want to pay for your stuff. Just like President Trump doesn't want to pay for jihadism on Columbia campus. I don't think Jewish donors want to pay for anti-Israelism, being platformed. But moreover, like, don't worry so much, bro. Kevin, don't worry so much. Nobody's going to take away American free speech and debate. Israel is nothing on Qatar when it comes to influencing the United States. And what is the influence of Israel? What we want more liberties. We want more welfare and success for the peoples of this region. That we want less jihadism. Like the Qatari folks that are paying and bought the president of the United States that airplane, like they want some bad things that Heritage is not going to like. Okay, you know what? And I hope to God that Kevin Roberts isn't about to start taking money from the Qataris. He's like so concerned about what Israel and Jews are saying, and yet like his own friend Tucker is going against all of the Heritage values. And he's like, he will forever be my friend. Our fearless leader will forever really be my best friend. What's that?
Maybe they're really close friends.
I have no doubt. Malkah Fleisher, thank you so much for being with us. And you are epic and goaty. You're very goat epic. You're the greatest of all time / epic.
Thanks.
And we want to wish you continued success and blessings from the God of Abraham and Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, and Leah in the good land, the land of Israel, of which Israel is not just the caretaker of the sepulcher. No, it's actually the rebuilding of Jerusalem, a third temple. God is bringing the people home, and Heritage can be part of it or not part of it. Vance can be part of it or not part of it, but it is happening. God is doing great things, and there are millions of people who see it. And if you don't see it, then you're going to lose market share. You're going to lose some donors, and you're going to lose the plot because you just don't have it right. Malkah Fleisher, thanks so much for being with us.
Bye-bye.
Everybody was really happy to see Malkah. See, we're really happy to see Malkah, and I was also happy to see Malkah. All right. Okay. It's 7:07 live from Judea in the good land, the land of Israel. And it's at this point that I want to take a tiny little break and drink some water. And I want to wish you l'chaim. Look at this good water from the land of Israel. You see this? It is good water. This is May Eden from the Golan Heights. Deer Park, that's good water. That is good. Okay. Now, speaking of the water of the land of Israel, let's do a little bit of Torah from the land of Israel. Oh, and look at that. Look at that. Corey Berg says Tractor Fund, and he gives, or she gives, a super chat. And I want to remind you that super chat is where it's at. Super chat is the way for you to make sure that I get to read your stuff and to get on the show, and also a great way to support the show. So it's a win to the exponential 10th power, and it's awesome. So that is really great. Well, let's do a little bit of Torah, and then we'll do some other stuff as well. Let's do a little bit of Noam Arnon, Dr. Noam Arnon. I spoke to him today about the Torah portion of Lech Lecha, the Torah portion that we just read. Let's hear a little bit about that, and we're going to put that up later on as a full video by itself. But let's take a look a little bit at Noam Arnon and what he has to say about the return, about Abraham's arrival in the land. All right, folks, Yishai Fleisher here. Today we're talking Bible with one of the world's Bible experts. Noam Arnon, Dr. Noam Arnon is the world expert on the Tomb of the Patriarchs and Matriarchs, one of the founders of the renewed Jewish community in Hebron. And right now, the Jewish people are reading the Bible, the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, as we do every year, sequentially. We just finished it on the holiday of Sukkot. We're starting it back up. So that means we're in Genesis, Bereshit. And Noam Arnon, one of the things that he's named the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs here in Hebron, he's named it Shrine of Genesis. Shrine of Genesis. Am I right? That's a great name.
That's right.
That's right. Shrine of Genesis. Okay, we're going to do a little bit, Noam, I keep on dealing with politics, with Israeli politics, Israeli issues, trying to bring the story. And sometimes we forget to do the Bible, which is the real thing that motivates us at the end, right? That's why we're here. We're here because of the Bible. So I wanted to get your, and usually you do so much of it in English, in Hebrew. I wanted to get it a little bit in English. We're talking about the Torah portion of Lech Lecha, which is the Torah portion that really the story of Abram begins. It becomes Avraham, but here it's in this week's Torah portion that his name gets changed. So I wanted to first ask you, one time I was with General Gershon Cohen at the Marat HaMachpelah, the tomb of the patriarchs and matriarchs. He told me an amazing midrash. He said to me that had Terach, the father of Avraham, not tried to go to the land of Canaan, Abraham would have never made it. It took the forefathers of even Abraham to yearn to go to the land of Israel, and then Abraham's able to do it. What do you think about that?
It's an interesting point. Actually, what we see in the end of Parshat Noach, that really Terach, he began to move to Canaan, as we read here in the end of Parshat Noach. ויקח תרח את אברהם בנו. Terach took his son Abram, and Lot ben Haran ben bno, his grandson Lot, and Sarai kalato, and Sarai, his daughter-in-law, Eshet Abraham bno, the wife of Abraham. ויצאו מעור כסדים, they went out from Ur Kasdim, which is in Iraq, ללכת ארצה כנען, but they didn't reach Canaan.
Right, so they left really Kuwait area, what's today's Kuwait, to go to Canaan, but they didn't make it there.
Yes, and they stayed in Haran. Actually, they were going along what we call the Fertile Crescent,
right,
which actually contains the Middle East ancient empires along the water from Iraq to Syria to land of Israel and to Egypt.
Right, you could not cross from Iraq to the land of Israel straight through. It was a hard desert, so in the ancient world you always did that kind of loop around.
Yes.
So they go to Haran, which is lower Turkey, northern Syria, between the Tigris and Euphrates.
And then Hashem said to Abraham, go on to the land that I will show you.
Mm-hmm.
It means that the desire to move to a holier place was in the family, but they didn't actually fulfill the target. They stuck somewhere. As people, even today, they want to make aliyah, and they're stuck somewhere in the middle because something happens. Maybe Terach was too old to continue. Maybe Haran was a nice place. As we see then, Yaakov goes to Haran, other people go to Haran. Maybe they thought that's the place we should be. But it was not really the target.
But the yearning was to go to the land of
Canaan.
Right.
Feeling something. And you have to remember, Ur Kasdim was a great city. One of the greatest locations.
In English, they call it Ur of Chaldeans. Right.
It was one of the centers of economy, of culture, of economics and everything. Of course, worship of idols. So they moved out from the crowded city to a spiritual location.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the beginning. Okay, this family feels something, but these feelings are not enough to bring them to the destination, to the real destination,
right,
in Canaan. And then there is a special prophecy to Abraham, continue to go.
Very famous words, Lech Lecha.
Lech Lecha.
Go to yourself, go to where I will show you, El Haaretz Asher Reka. It has two meanings, right? El Haaretz Asher Reka, to a land that I will show you where it is.
Yes.
Or El Haaretz Asher Areka, I will show you to others in this land. You will become known in this land.
These are two possibilities of explanations, that's right. So they moved, and now they come to Israel, they come to the land of Canaan. ויעבור אברהם בארץ, עד מקום שכם, I read in chapter 12, verse 6, ויבוא אברהם בארץ, עד מקום שכם, עד אלון מורה. They went from the north, and the first sight, actually they climbed to the mountain of Har Kabir, Elon Moreh,
right,
which is a magnificent place.
Now today it's known as Shechem in Hebrew, Shechem in like English Bible language, and the Arabs call it Nablus. And there's like an on-ramp, right? There's a special wadi that you could climb up and get to the top of the mountains called Wadi Tirza.
Yes.
And so they climbed and they came to Mount Kabir of today.
Yes, and there is a magnificent sight from there.
Yeah, view, yeah.
And there Hashem say to Abraham, then Abraham builds a mizbech.
A tabernacle, a place of offering, what's it called?
Maybe a place of prayer, or a place of spiritual worship or something like this. I'm not sure if which is mizbech to sacrifice animals.
Right.
I'm not sure for that.
Aha. Because it doesn't say that he built that he sacrificed an animal there.
No.
It just says that he built an altar, mizbech altar.
Yeah,
what
that's
they call
right.
it. Yeah.
And
all right. So if you want to hear more of myself and Dr. Noam Arnon talking about the Bible and about the Torah portion of Lech Lecha, you will be able to see it. We're going to put it on our channel, Yishai Fleisher TV. So that's really fun. Hold on just 1 second. Okay. And that's a lot of fun. And we have a lot more of Bible stuff. We got to do Torah stuff as well, guys, right? We got to do Torah stuff as well. Because if we don't do Torah stuff, then like, you know, if we don't teach God stuff and we just talk politics, it's just not real. It's not what we're about. It's not going to stick because it's not godly. It's not infused with godliness. We got to talk God on this show, and that's what we're going to do on this channel. Speaking of that, we all love God here, but if you love a different God, but you think it's the same God, whatever it is, this is a Jewish, Orthodox, Israel, pro-Israel show, and we cannot have proselytizing Christianity. Love you guys. You're the best. We respect you. We love you. But as Vance said, we have a different religion, and we can't have proselytizing on this show. That's just the way it is. And there's plenty of shows that you're going to get that in. All right. So, but we can't have that, and that distracts us. Let's do another fun video that's out there. Let's listen to my producer she wants me to play this. So let's review another video right now, which is of Chaviv Gur, Chaviv Retta Gur, who is a great intellectual in Israel, but is on the center left. And he had an interesting critique. Let's see if we can critique that critique.
War is not the end of military rule over Palestinians. It's not the end of Palestinian struggles. It's certainly not the end of Gaza's suffering. I voted 3 times.
First thing, before we go on, notice the hair thing. We got something going on here, him and I, right? You see that. He's got the gray beard. I got the gray beard. Okay, I think that I came first with it, but okay, let's let him keep going. Now, he's saying that this war is not the end of the quote-unquote Palestinian struggle. No, they certainly want to keep struggling against us. That's for sure.
Times for a Palestinian state as in Israel.
So he voted 3 times to give up our land and to give it to people who would become the jihad. He says this. He admits this. I 3 times voted for some way to take away the land of Israel and to put an Arab or jihadist or other sovereign in our land, including what he means is within Judea and Samaria, the ancestral homeland, okay? Although the whole land of Israel is our ancestral homeland, but in the heartland of the Holy Land, that's what he has voted for.
And 3 times it ended in rivers of blood, not because of...
So 3 times you voted to give our land away to our enemies, and 3 times it didn't work out. Surprise! I don't know. I voted for a Palestinian state in the land of Israel, and it just ended in blood. Why is that, Chaviv Gur? Why?
Ordinary Palestinians don't want independence. They do. We have polls on this. And it doesn't happen when the left is in charge in Israel, and it doesn't happen when the left marches in their millions, and it doesn't happen when the people who want it to happen on both sides desperately do everything they can to make it happen. And one of the reasons it doesn't happen is that there are ideologies, ideas, deep impulses in the cultures of the two peoples that don't want it. I have been a massive critic of the Israeli side again and again and again. But I'm talking about Hamas.
Wait, first he says that there are people on our side who don't want it. That's true. I'm one of them. Don't want it. I don't want the jihad take over my land. I don't want Hebron controlled by the jihad or any other sovereign. Even if it was a nice jihad. It's true. I don't want to give away my land. What's mine is mine. It's not some created story of a Palestinian thing that we should give it away to. No, I'm one of those people. Am I extreme? Absolutely not. It's very, very simple. It's a dumb idea to give away our land. It ends up in blood. It's also immoral, anti-historical, and anti-Middle Eastern because you give wind to the sails of the haters, okay? So my friend Chaviv Gur voted for 3 times, and he's just like, and there's Jews there's Jews that are against it. I don't know why. That's why, because it's just wrong. It's anti-historical. It'll end in blood. But now he's going to complain about Hamas.
What I want you to notice about Hamas is not this war. There's no question that thousands of children have died. This was a terrible war. And if you decide that the Israelis are just intentionally and wantonly cruel, look, it's a critique of a war. But I have to tell you that my life experience of 30 years is that Hamas bombed every peace process, everyone I marched for. And it bombed it hundreds of times. It attacked and it shot and it murdered. And the Israeli political left can't get elected anymore. Even when a third of right-wingers want this government gone, Israelis genuinely don't know how to move forward. If the people who decide what happens in Palestine to Palestinians, how Palestinians engage Israelis, is Hamas. I know you don't know it. You haven't seen it. It doesn't make your press, even though it happened again and again and again.
Okay, so here, I have to accept that Chaviv is saying correctly that a lot of people don't know that who's in charge of the ideology of Palestinianism is Hamas. The only thing is, I'm like, don't you know that, Chaviv Gur? Didn't you figure that out already? Hasn't anybody told you that? Because they've been doing this since the first original Muslim Brotherhood Hamasnik, which was Haj Amin al-Husseini, all the way back in the 20s of the previous century. For the last 100 years, they've been attacking us with jihadism, but you haven't figured out. Then you're like, you guys in America have not heard about this, but really Hamas is in charge of Palestinianism. I'm like, bro, you're the one who hasn't heard about it. You're the one who's still figuring that out. That's what's so weird about these smart people, is like, he's given us a little speech about being smart and recognizing the influence of Hamas on Palestinianism, and he himself doesn't get that and admits that he has voted for this thing. Like he's like, no, I voted for like the nice Palestinians to take over, but lo and behold, Hamas took over. I can't believe it. I'm so surprised. I need to tell you about this. Bro, you're the one who's not looking reality in the face.
The last 2 years, Hamas has told Israelis dozens of times that I personally have seen.
Last 2 years, Hamas has told Israelis. How about the last 100 years? How about reading the Quran, Chaviv Gur? Okay? Please do me a favor, for God's sakes. The last 2 years, Hamas has told us over and over again that they don't want peace. Where do you live? Where do you live? Don't you know that they've been telling us for first thing Hamas has been telling us, not for the last 2 years, but for the last 20 years since we gave them Gaza, they've been telling that. This is like the 5th war that we've had with them there. Please.
In interviews and places like CNN, that it's going to do October 7 again, and it's going to fight war forever until the death of or expulsion of every last Israeli Jew. Hamas.
Duh.
Hamas's charter talks about the Jews as being the cause of all the evils in the world. Hamas has said, its leadership talks about how all the great sacrifices of the Gazans in the last 2 years were worth it for the great cause of the destruction of Israel. And if the deaths had been tenfold, they would still have been worth it. Because Hamas is not fighting a war for the independence of Palestine. It is fighting a war for the liberation of Islamic land and the restoration of a vision of Islam that they have that has nothing to do, or doesn't have to have anything to do, with Islam itself. itself. Not all the versions, but Hamas's version says that they have to rise up, restore Islam to a conquering militant ethos that takes over the world. Hamas are as bad as Israelis say, and the occupation is as bad as Palestinians.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. So it's like, so he's figured out that Islam is a conquering religion. They want to get back to that. And he's figured out that Hamas is bad. But what he hasn't figured out is Palestinianism is a Hamas impulse thing. He will not connect those things. He'll say no. And here's look at the line right now. The occupation is as bad as Palestinians say. What occupation? You mean Jews living in their land? You mean Arabs like doing really well in that area of Judea and Samaria with jobs and opportunities? You mean that we believe that non-Jews living in our land should be loyal, law-abiding, and well-governed residents of our land? You think that's something wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. That's not occupation. And to equate those things is maddening. That a smart person is like, look, let me just backtrack a little bit to see this equivocation. Listen to this.
Israelis say. And the occupation, a militant ethos that takes over the world. Hamas are as bad as Israelis say. And the occupation is as bad as Palestinians say. And now,
what an unbelievable equivocation of our people living in our land and the jihad that wants to destroy us. As though Jewish people returning to the heartland of the Holy Land is the same as the jihad that wants to take over the world. Sickening that a public intellectual would make these statements like that so casually. And by the way, what does he think he wins? Who is he speaking to? Does he think that anybody out there is like? Does he think that the left is like, wow, Chaviv Gur, he throws the Hamas under the bus, but he also throws Israel under the bus. Good for him. We'll vote for him. We'll vote for his kind. No, they're happy to use your words. The anti-Semites, the Europeans, and the jihadis, they're happy to be like, you see, even an Israeli intellectual at Times of Israel is willing to say that the occupation is as bad as we say it is. You're just justifying their lies and the same stuff. You don't even see it, but you're working for Hamas. Hamas wants you to say that the occupation is evil, and you're working for them. And clearly, the 3 times that you voted for idiocy didn't work out well for you, did it? So you're not going to do tshuva. You're not going to repent. You're going to still throw Jews under the bus for living in the ancestral homeland, and you're still going to vote for some idiocy to give away our land to some created Palestinian narrative that you've bought into, to a also non-jihadist a belief that there's like non-jihadists amongst them, that they're going to take control of it and it's going to work out fine. You're going to believe this bifurcation that, no, there's the good Palestinians and then there's jihadism, there's Hamas, they're just a small group, but really, they really want, to live side by side in peace. When are you going to wake up and see the truth and tell the truth? When are you also going to make repentance for the idiocy of giving away our land and actually allowing Hamas to take over this land? And so this is the kind of thing that smart people come to the conclusions. He's like, the real smart way is to blame everybody and to just say the Jews are just as bad as Hamas, but Hamas is really bad. And look at me, I smell perfect because I know how to blame everybody, except for blame yourself for being anti-historical, anti-Middle Eastern, because you don't understand that you're actually helping the jihad itself.
Now what? And if you can only see half of that, then it doesn't really matter what your activism does. As long as the vast majority of the Israeli left, of Israelis who would vote for a Palestinian state in a minute if given the chance, as long as the vast majority of them believe that leaving the West Bank or removing a military presence in Gaza means that Hamas will come for their children again and for all time, because it is not motivated by the values and ideas and dreams that you are motivated by. As long as the vast majority, not of Israelis, but of the Israeli left, believes that that is not an option, nothing you do matters. No march, no sanction, no boycott, no rage, no curse.
So Chaviv is trying very hard to talk to the international left, and he's like, look, international left, look, we have tried, and there's no way that we're going to have a Palestinian state as long as Hamas is in power. So basically, he's reaching out to his co-religionists, the left, and he's saying to them, like, look, it's never going to work out because the reason it's not going to work out is because our people, like mine and your people, no longer believe that we could actually give away this land and get something other than Hamas. All I have to say about that is, Boker Tov, good morning. That you have figured it out, that giving away our land ends up being Hamas. That's exactly what happened when we gave away our land in Oslo as well. We got anti-Semitism of the Fatah variety, but who cares? It's the same thing. It's just jihadism, hate of Israel. You could call it Arab nationalism. It doesn't matter if it's secular or religious. It's all the same impulse. It's all the same impulse. And the point is that he's turning to the left. He's like, well, as long as Hamas is in power, we'll never give away the West Bank, the Judean Samaria. You know what? Baruch Hashem, thank God that there's been some awakening in the minds of these people to see the play. These are supposed to be the smart people, right? They're actually figuring out the simple things now. They're finally starting to figure out the simple thing. And the simple thing is like, yeah, giving away our land like means that the Hamas are going to take over. And that probably it does not bode so well for the Jewish people. So, Chaviv, if you're trying to convince the international left to pull Hamas out, and not present them, I don't understand why you're doing that, because that's the truth. If you're just trying to tell them that we're forever going to stay in Judea and Samaria because we can't give it away to Hamas, then I'm happy that you've come to that conclusion. I really hope that the next time around you don't do the dumb thing to try to vote again for parties that want to give away our land to our enemies. And you're really smart, Chaviv, but I hope that your smartness is like smart. You know what I mean? Not just raw intellect, but actually good conclusions. All right, buddy. And keep up that gray beard. Looks great. You know, you and I are doppelgangers on the other side of the aisle. Okay. Okay, we're going to have another guest in just a few minutes. So let's get ready for another guest and to talk about very important stuff. About indeed Tucker Carlson and the way that they see the world, and the one video which I think is probably the most important video that we've seen recently in really the last long period when it comes to U.S.-Israel relations or relations of Jews with the non-Jews of this world. One of the most important of all the videos was when Tucker Carlson asked Ted Cruz. He said to him, like, is the Israel of today the Israel of the Bible? And the answer should have been a loud and resounding, you betcha. I would have answered, like, isn't that awesome? Isn't that surprisingly cool that the Israel of today is the Israel of the Bible? Like, that, isn't that cool to live in such a time? Wow. Like, can you imagine that? And how similar is Israel today to the Israel of the Bible with all of their issues? They're just like the people of the Bible. And isn't it so cool that we have the opportunity to be part of that rebirth and to be part of that, story, that we could use our power as the United States and as believing people to strengthen that thing and be part. And when are we going to Jerusalem? Let's go on that trip. When are we going to Jerusalem for Sukkot so we could fulfill the mandate of Zechariah 14? The nations are supposed to come up and pay homage to the God of Israel and sacrifice. Like, when are we going to do that? That would have been my answer. Be like, Tucker, like, don't you see what God is doing? Don't you know that millions of Americans and maybe billions of people around the world, I don't know, maybe there's not billions, but multi-million folks around the world see what Israel is and want to love it, want to be part of God's fulfillment of his dream. Somebody who understands this stuff very well is Rabbi Elie Mischel, who is the director of education at Israel 365 and the author of The War Against the Bible, Ishmael, Esau, and Israel at the End Times. What a great title to a book, and we're so happy to have Rabbi Elie Mischel with us. Shalom, Rabbi Elie. How are you?
Hi, Yishai. Great to be with you.
All right. So tell me what you think about that preamble that I made. Did you see that video with Tucker and Ted Cruz and that moment where he asked him, like, is this the Israel? Is it?
Yeah, no, it's really incredible. Tucker is one of these brilliant but not wise fools. You know, on the one hand, he's brilliant. He's able to command and control an interview in a way that where he twists things. So it sounds like he's smart, but he's not really wise. He doesn't really know all that much about what he's talking about. There actually are other anti-Semites who know a lot more. And Nick Fuentes, for example, is one of them. But Tucker is actually quite shallow in a lot of his attacks and his anti-Semitic diatribes against the Jews. Okay.
You have written recently an article called Tucker Carlson's Category Error, Misreading Yosef and Yehuda. And this is in the jewishedition.com. It's up there right now. You know what? I'll even show. I want to show this because it's really cool cover art. So let me just show the screen here for a second. Okay, that's pretty. That's a pretty cool. That's a pretty cool and funny cover art there. And I want to tell you that just before you came in, we had the head of the Heritage Foundation, and he was like, people are trying to silence Tucker. We will not be part of it. Tucker Carlson's always going to be a friend of the Heritage Foundation. So what do you understand about this guy? What do you understand his big transition, and why here, for example, some people are calling him Tucker Carlson. Okay. What do you understand this guy's ideology or doctrine? What happened? What has changed? What do you think he thinks?
You know, it's interesting. I heard him described already a few years ago as an Episcopalian. Meaning he was never really a particularly knowledgeable or serious committed Christian. And I think we're finding a lot of this, right? People who are not particularly knowledgeable in Christianity and who have the fervor of like we have in Judaism, a new Baal Tshuva, right? Somebody who's repenting and coming, and they come and they can have very wrong ideas sometimes. They may mean well, and I'm giving him too much of the benefit of the doubt, but they come in with their superficial understanding of a tradition that takes a lifetime to learn. And, Tucker really doesn't know the Bible, right? I think he said that he only read the Bible over these last couple of years. So somebody who's only started reading the Bible over the last couple of years, it's terrifying that this person is one of the most influential people in the world. So there's this really very false, shallow version of Christianity that's out there. Obviously Christianity is very big. There's over 2 billion Christians in the world, and I know some pretty amazing Christians. And they have the ones that I know personally, these are often very scholarly. They spend years of their life studying this, and for them to be dismissed by Tucker Carlson, I hate Christian Zionists. It's like, what do you know, Tucker? Like, you literally just opened the Bible for the first time. Have you read it through really from beginning to end even once? I doubt it. So I can't speak to, whether he's being paid by Qatar or anyone else. I mean, it seems like it is, given his sharp turn. But what we can do is speak to his ideas. And, like I said before, he sounds very smart, but he doesn't actually know what he's talking about. And in this article, what I was pointing out was just one of his twisted and very incorrect arguments, where he goes on and on about how, the Jews are the people of violence, the religion of violence. Like Mark Levin wants to bomb Iran, bomb everybody. And we Christians, he says, we're the people of peace, right? The New Testament, turn the other cheek, right? We don't want to kill people, right? So he presents this as if like this oversimplification, like we are the people of the Old Testament, the angry God, right? Who wants to kill everybody. And they're the people of the New Testament who love everyone. Mm-hmm. But the whole thing is so incredibly wrong and so incredibly misleading, because Tucker Carlson is conflating Judaism and Christianity as if they're one and the same. They're just, we have the 3 monotheistic religions, which is one of the most false statements ever made, right? Oh, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, we're all basically different versions of the same thing. It's absolutely not true. The Jewish people are precisely that. We are Am Yisrael, the Jewish nation, right? We are not a religion. We are not a religion. We have the Torah, we have the Bible, which is supposed to guide the way that we live. But first and foremost, we are a nation, whereas Christianity is very clearly a religion, right? A nation requires land. A nation requires armies, right? And we're not meant to be any other nation. We're meant to be the chosen nation, somehow make the army holy and make our government holy and make national life holy. Whereas Christians are a religion. They don't do army, right? And they say that's all for Caesar, right? We want to make our holy churches. We want to live holy lives, but the nation, that's not part of our religion. So he's comparing apples and oranges. You can't compare Judaism to Christianity. We are you could compare the Jewish people to France or America. You cannot compare Israel to Christianity.
Okay, that's a good point, but I mean, are you attacking his point head on, which is he's saying Judaism, the Jewish people, like the way that the God of the Old Testament sees things, is a more aggressive pushback on bad guys, while Christianity and the Christian texts have a more turn the other cheek type of flavor. Not in history, of course, but in the writing.
That's precisely the point. Meaning that cannot work when you are a nation. A nation must have an army, and an army that doesn't fight and kill the bad guys will ultimately see its own children slaughtered, which was what we saw on October 7th, right? That's a failure of a nation to not kill its enemies. Christians also fight. They just don't do it in the name of Christianity. They do it as Americans or as British or whatever country they belong to. They fight just as much as we do, and it's just as righteous if they're defending their country, right? But whereas Christianity is a religion, it's a profoundly individual experience. They don't have to deal with armies because they don't need a land, right? They're not a nation. They can live everywhere under America, under Great Britain. Well, maybe not for too much longer. We'll see. In Great Britain, to be a Christian or a Jew, we'll see how long that lasts. But they're completely different categories. It would be immoral for the Jewish people, the Jewish nation, to not fight back and slaughter our enemies and defend our children. Right. Whereas a Christian, they don't have to deal with those questions because they're talking on an individual basis.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny that Tucker Carlson, who is like a very proud American, like America's got a giant army. America fights stuff. Like, what is he coming from? Like, even the minute you do have a nation, then you are fighting. So what are you talking about? But that's an old.
This is actually our fault to a great degree.
Okay.
And I say our fault, I mean the Jewish people, because, and here we touch on some really fundamental things. We are a nation. Right. And yes, we do, of course, have a Torah, but we are first and foremost a nation. And that's why, by the way, Ruth, when she, joined the people of Israel, first she said, your nation is my nation.
Right.
Then she says, your God is my God. Your nation is my nation is primary. That comes first. Right. So we are a people. But in America in particular, and that's the context that Tucker Carlson knows, the Jewish people have spent the last 130 years or so since Herzl came onto the scene. And since Zionism became a political movement, they spent the last 130 years obfuscating this whole distinction between Jews and Christians because they were very nervous to say that we're a people because of all the dual loyalty accusations that would come. And so Jews presented themselves as a religion, right? Oh, you have Christmas, we have Hanukkah, right? And everybody gives each other gifts,
The big moment was in Napoleon, right? Napoleon, he in many ways asked Jews to choose. He's like, if you want to be Frenchmen, then please declare, I'll give you equality, but declare that you are no longer, you're not a peoplehood who yearns for a land, but you're rather a nice religion, but you're really French people, Frenchmen, and you are mosaically inclined French folks, as opposed to saying you're a separate people with a different yearning, which would be dual loyalty, et cetera, et cetera.
And so the French Jews, therefore, agreed to buy into this falsehood because there is no such thing as a Frenchman of the Mosaic or Jewish religion. In fact, and this you might find fascinating, there is no word in the Bible, in the Torah, for Judaism, and there is no word for religion in the Bible, right? Judaism comes from idaismus, which is a Greek word. The Greeks are the ones who brought Judaism, or Yahadut in Hebrew. They're the ones who created that word. Judaism implies religion. We never had that word. We were the Jewish people. And secondly, the word religion, which today in Hebrew is dat, right, it does not exist. I mean, it comes up in the book of Esther, but it's not even what it means there. That word was appropriated later on. So think about how amazing that is. The Bible, the Hebrew Bible, does not have a word for Judaism or religion. That should tell you everything about who we are and what we are. But American Jews, just like you said, all the Jews of the West, ever since Napoleon, when they were forced to make this choice, the vast majority of them chose emancipation. We'll be Frenchmen, we'll be Americans, and we'll pretend that we're just a religion. But we are not a religion, and it's all a falsehood.
Okay. The first thing is, before we go on, somebody writes, Louis John Michael writes, what is the rabbi's book title? I'm enjoying this topic. So remind us of your book title and so where people can check it out.
It's The War Against the Bible, Ishmael, Esau, and Israel at the End Times. And you can find it on Israel365store.com or on Amazon.com. And God willing, soon there will be another book on precisely this topic that we're talking about right now, which is that the Jewish people are a nation and not a religion. That's coming.
Okay, very good. Let's watch Tucker Carlson a little bit, get a little flavor of the way he's talking out there today.
And then the Christian Zionists who are, well, Christian Zionists. Like, what is that? Right. And I could just say for myself, I dislike them more than anybody, because like, what? Because it's Christian heresy and I'm offended by that as a Christian. That's why. So I don't, like, why not? Like, I'm pissed at the neocons, very pissed. I've said that a million times. I've been mad since December of 2003 when I went to Iraq. And so, like, I went and asked straightforward questions to Ted Cruz, because that seemed like there's a sitting senator who's like serving for Israel by his own description. He seemed like a worthy target. I'm not going after MTG, who's like the most sincere like, why not go after Ted Cruz? I don't understand.
Okay, so he says there that being a Christian Zionist is Christian heresy, he says. And he asked Ted Cruz, and I think the key question of that whole thing was, is Israel today the Israel of the Bible? I thought that was the key question. I think that by itself, is like for Bible loving people. That's the big question.
That accusation that we are not the people of the Bible is very, very new. Meaning for the last 2,000 years, right? Nobody had any doubts that we were the people of the Bible. We were the Jewish people. But Christians looked at us, right, as therefore being punished by God, because we did not accept Jesus, right? So no one ever claimed that we were not the people of the Bible. This is a very new thing. Why? Because the old accusation that we are rejected by God is a lot harder to make ever since the founding of the state of Israel. Not just the founding of the state of Israel, but the many unbelievable miracles and the growth and success of the state of Israel have made the classic Christian anti-Semitic argument untenable, right? If you're at all honest with yourself, right? How could you say what Augustine said? How could you say what all of these great Christian thinkers said, that we were being punished by God because we rejected Jesus, when you're watching the people of Israel in 1967? You can't say that anymore. And so now this is a new thing, another approach. Now, we're not the people of the Bible anymore.
But don't forget that is the claim. That is a mainline claim within Islam. That is a very regular claim. Like, these are not the Bani Israel. You are Chazars. You are a bastardized people. You've just taken upon yourself a story. That is a mainline claim, a mainstream claim in jihadist Islam. That is a very regular claim. It's also it's even in the Hamas charter. But the bottom line is like he's borrowing that idea. Like, are these the Jews? Right. But I was surprised that Ted Cruz didn't hit that more. Like what a softball for you, bro. This is such a softball. Like, if you don't hit this one out of the park, you really missed the softball, because this is exactly the point where you have to tell people, like, yes, this Israel today is the Israel of the Bible. Yes,
I try to cut Ted Cruz a little bit of slack, because, like I said, Tucker, even though he's in a deeper sense a fool, but he's actually quite quick on his feet, and he can be very difficult in an interview. But yes, he should have, being the son of Pastor Rafael Cruz, who I've had the chance to meet and speak with many times, and is a man who really knows his Bible. And not only that, I've heard Ted Cruz's father say by heart whole speeches of Benjamin Franklin and the founders of the United States, who were all people who were Hebraists, who looked to the Jewish people and to the Hebrew Bible as inspiration for the United States of America. Ted probably should have been a little faster there, but I think we'll cut him some slack on this.
Do you think that America's face is turning against Israel? Do you think that JD Vance, Tucker Carlson, Fuentes, Candace Owens, do you think that they represent a changing face of the United States? And my friend Ari Abramowitz said to me an amazing thing. He said, just like when Jacob saw that Laban's face changed, he knew it was time to go. Do you think that Laban's face has changed vis-a-vis the Jewish people, the face of America towards the Jewish people? Do you think that that's changed?
So something is definitely changing. There's no question. I mean, the fact that 80% of Democrats are, strongly against Israel, that's already done, right? Then you have here on the right wing, you have three groups. You have people, of darkness, who we've been talking about, Tucker Carlson and Fuentes and the many, many millions of their followers. You do have some people of light, and we should be thankful for them. People like James Lindsay and Brandon Tatum and Dinesh D'Souza, who's been quite fascinating. He's basically put out a movie. His latest movie is essentially a Christian version of the war against the Bible that I wrote, which is quite interesting.
And by the way, I had him on and a fabulous interview. He's a fabulous intellectual, and he knows, and he knows how to, he knows to agree. He can agree to agree. Like, there's so much that we agree on, and he focuses on that. He knows that we have some ideological, doctrinal differences, and okay,
he's one of the great Americans of this generation. There's no question. Yeah. So you have those people, but then you've also got this hazy middle. Sort of like in Jewish tradition, how we understand Haran, Abraham's brother, how he sort of was wishy-washy, right? You have people like JD Vance, unfortunately, the sitting vice president, Matt Walsh, and many others who and Megyn Kelly. These people are not anti-Semites, but they are not willing to call out evil when they see it. And this kind of waffling middle is a very dangerous ground to be. As we know, according to our tradition, Haran ultimately gets thrown in the furnace of fire and he's burned and he's killed, meaning the people in the waffling middle are not going to be the ones who are the bulwark against evil. And so, I mean, America is in a great battle for its own future. Now, do I believe that our future depends on America? Absolutely not. But there certainly will be a great trauma. And I think that there's a real possibility that if this goes in the wrong direction and America turns against Israel, that we'll have two different crises that are happening in the world, right? In Israel, we will have the crisis that we need, which will be frightening, but also a major step towards the final redemption, which is we finally have to be independent and not depend upon the great power that is America. So many of the prophets speak about this in ancient times, that this was the great failure of the people of Israel, and that would be our great crisis, but also our great opportunity to finally become the nation that depends completely on God. But in America, it'll be a different crisis for the Jews if it goes in this direction. If James Lindsay and Dinesh D'Souza do not succeed, then we're going to have a situation for American Jews in which this whole careful fudging of the dual identity. Am I American? Am I a Jew? What am I primarily? The dual loyalty problem, which is a real issue, which is always there, but which they've always covered over and tried to keep hazy. Right? I believe that we could soon be reaching a point, whether it's now or in a few years from now, we don't know, where that won't be tenable anymore. And every American Jew will be forced, so to speak, to have some sort of a loyalty test or to declare, are you American first, right? Or are you a Jew first? Which one
that is definitely what those are definitely voices that we've heard from the American right, from Vance and from who we had on before as well, which is Kevin Roberts from Heritage. And so that's on the right. But there's, of course, also an attack from the left. And I have a new phrase that I'll let you borrow if you like, with accreditation, of course, which is I say there are red states and there are blue states, but blue states become green states. Green states, I mean jihadism. So, yeah, now we're discussing right now a problem on the American right and the loss of a sense of Zionism, of that God is doing this great thing, and that's a fulfillment of the Bible, of what was once called restorationism, a loss of that. And now Zionism is now being called heresy. But we know what we have also on the left, where blue states become green states. And you, before you made Aliyah a few years ago, you were a rabbi in a major synagogue in New Jersey. And now you're here, but New Jersey is part of the so-called tri-state area, New York, New Jersey, and a little bit of Connecticut. But we all know that the heart of American Jewry is New York City. Yeah. And New Jersey is the thing across the river, but it's great and it's nice. But we all understand that the heart of it is New York City. And there's, a million Jews that live in New York City, if not more, in Brooklyn, New York, Queens, and Manhattan. And here's the guy that is slated to become their mayor. I want to play a little video here, and then I want to get your take on Zohran Mamdani. And here he is campaigning for your vote in the Arabic language.
رح جمد الإيجارات لأكثر من 2,000,000 شخص وخلي الباصات سريعة ومجانا وأضمن رعاية الأطفال شاملة لكل العائلات. ويمكن ما فيني أقنعك إنه الكنافة النابلسية بستانوي أطيب من نيوجيرسي، بس بوعدكم إني رح أشتغل بكل جهدي لأسهل عليكم بفتح مشاريعكم الصغيرة وتدفعوا إيجاركم وتبنوا مستقبلكم في مدينة نيويورك. التصويت المبكر مفتوح الآن حتى 2 نوفمبر ويوم الانتخابات يوم 4 نوفمبر. أنا منكم وإليكم سنراكم.
That was a good one. That was a good one, yes.
سنراكم.
Mamdani, I mean, before I even go on, good looking, charming, charismatic, clearly leans towards, he himself is the fulfillment of the red-green alliance, and red in this case, I mean communist, but I think it's more correct to say blue-green alliance, in a sense that he comes from a progressive, communist, and at the same time jihadist world. He brings it all together in a fabulous package. Supposedly 40% of Jews are voting for him, but I want to ask you, as a former New Jersey rabbi of a major synagogue, like, how do you see this reality now? You wrote a book about, the first subtitle there is Ishmael, right?
That's right. Well, it does make me wonder, if Nefesh B'Nefesh is funding his campaign.
Right. That's the Aliyah Organization for Israel, right?
Right.
Okay.
It's hard to imagine a better way to try to frighten the Jews to move. But unfortunately, probably most of them will move to Florida, not to Israel. But this is exactly what I wrote about in my book. And it boggles the mind. How can people who are not Muslim, not understand what it is that they're buying into here? But what happens is, and this is from the book of Daniel, and it's prophesied there that in the end of days, in the fourth and final great, kingdoms that will persecute the earth, right, there will be this strange alliance between iron and clay that don't really fit together. They don't work right together, and yet somehow they join together against the people of Israel. And that's exactly what we're finding here, right? Why is it that secular progressive people who totally have no religion, hate the Bible, don't want any part of it, why are they joining up with radical Islamists and people like Mamdani? It's hard to wrap your head around until you realize that they share a common hatred, which is a common hatred of the Bible and of the people of the Bible. They don't have the same vision for what the future will be, but they know what they hate, right? They know what they hate, and that's us, right? That we are the people of the Bible. Right, the secular progressives of New York City want to get rid of the Judeo-Christian, which frankly is Jewish, right? It comes from the Jewish people. It's our Bible, it's our Torah. That whole way of all the laws of this earth, of this world.
I'm here. Go ahead.
Right, all of that, right? They want to get rid of it, right? A man married to a woman, right? All of the basic morality that we've come to take for granted, but cannot take for granted anymore. And Islam, right? They also hate the Bible, as you mentioned before. They don't believe that we're the real Jews. Right. And they reject the Bible entirely. And this is a big difference between Christians and Muslims. Right. Christians believe in the Bible. And that's how you have a Ted Cruz and these kinds of Christians who, if they read it properly, right, find that they have so much in common with the Jewish people. But Muslims do not accept the Torah. They take pieces of it. They took many pieces of our Torah, but they fit it in and make change the details. And now it's all of a sudden the binding of Ishmael and not the binding of Isaac, and so on and so forth. So they both share a hatred for this common, Jewish and therefore Christian as well value system. And that's what they see. And the Jews who are joining up, primarily the Jews who are joining up with Mamdani, are the ones who hate this Bible that makes them feel guilty. And they've bought into this secular progressivism. But there are some Jews in New York City who are Orthodox religious Jews who are for Mamdani. And the only way to explain that, I think, is what we were saying before, which is that these are the Jews who have given up nationhood. They've come to incorrectly and tragically view Judaism as a religion. And Therefore, if they can make a deal with MAMDANI, if he's going to be okay, if they'll give him their votes, they could buy their safety, right? They could feel some sort of a connection. Islam, you're at least a religious person. We're religious people, so they feel some sort of a connection without seeing the bigger picture that this man is an enemy of the nation of Israel, right? If he says he's going to throw Prime Minister Netanyahu in jail, right, simply because, right, that's Jewish nationhood,
right, and that he wants to globalize the Intifada,
right? But they're not worried about that because they don't think along the lines of Jewish nationhood. It's not just a secular Jewish problem. It's also, sadly, for many people, for many religious Jews, a problem as well. I'll give you one little story just before we finish. I remember a few years ago, it was before October 7th, and there was a really religious Orthodox Jewish kid from Brooklyn who was here in Israel, and I was in the backseat of a car with him. And we were talking about, how crazy the Israeli political system is. And he goes, and of course he was, of course it's crazy. There were like 5 elections in 3 years. And he goes, you guys have the craziest government. And then it stopped me cold. And I thought to myself, you guys? What do you mean? Just because you live in Brooklyn doesn't mean that this isn't your government and your nation and your people. We all have a messed up government here in Israel. It's ours. It belongs to all of us. And I saw that brokenness and it frightened me. And those are the Jews who I believe will not make it back to the land of Israel, the ones who don't see themselves as the nation, as part of the nation of Israel. I don't think it's going to be an Orthodox versus secular or Reform conservative. I think all the denominational differences are not the key difference. The key question is going to be, in the years ahead, will the Jews of America identify with the nation of Israel, with the people of Israel, or will they see it strictly as a religion? And those who identify with the land, they will find their way home one way or another. And those who do not will sadly likely be part of the 4/5 who are left behind.
MAMDANI is an opportunity, and it's in the way you're putting it, it's also an opportunity to remember the nationhood and to remember the nationhood's promise to return to this land and to build it, and that the children of Israel will be numerous, and that there'll be a third temple in Jerusalem. We're working on that. MAMDANI is a wake-up call for those who wish to wake up and to be as dreamers and see that dream in a waking state instead of being asleep. Rabbi Elie Mischel, thank you so much for being with us. Great stuff. You are the Director of Education at Israel 365 and the author of The War Against the Bible, Ishmael, Esau, and Israel at the End Times. That's exactly where we're at. Thank you so much for being with us. And also your new article, Tucker Carlson Category Error, Misreading Yosef and Yehuda, which is found at thejewishedition.com. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, folks. Yishai Fleisher broadcasting live here from Judea. We're having a lot of fun, and we're hearing from a lot of people from all over the world. That was Rabbi Elie Mischel and great folks that help us understand what's going on. Let's, Yocheved, there was a few, I'm talking now to my producer, Yo. There was a few super chats that I missed. If you don't mind putting them up, that would be great. Thank you so much.
I will put them up, and I want to thank everybody in the chat for recognizing that this is a Jewish channel, and we try so hard to make it a big tent where we agree to agree, and it's not always easy, but thank you guys. I'm going to find that for you.
Thank you. And also, that's right, we agreed to agree, and somebody there was using profanity in a way that I, the sentiment I agree with, but we don't use profanity either, just because it's a family channel. And Lewis John says, thanks for the show. Thank you very much. And thank you for supporting. And I love your picture there of Ethiopian Jews, ostensibly with wearing the talit, the traditional talit. It's beautiful. So thank you very much for that. Is there anybody else from the super chats that we want to recall? Let's put that up now. And in the meantime, there's one more little video that I wanted to show you that I showed a little bit earlier, but I want to show it again. And that is that the Jewish community of Hebron, where I work, what I have the great privilege of working, is having right now a cause match campaign, a fundraising campaign. If you go to hebronfund.org, you can join that campaign, and you can find my page, the Yishai Fleisher donation page, and help there. Here, watch a little video about what we're doing in Hebron.
I am so excited to tell you about all the growth that we're experiencing around Hebron. For the first time in 20 years, we're able to move in new families into Hebron.
Despite the grueling 2 years of the war, the hostages, and all that the Jewish nation has gone through, here in Hebron, the tough get tougher, and we continue to grow, to expand, new neighborhoods, new homes purchased, new archaeological digs. We continue to spread out and to expand our Jewish presence throughout the biblical city, following in the footsteps of our patriarch Abraham.
With the expansion of our community, our security needs grow. Help us secure Hebron.
אנחנו משפחת סולימן, חגי ובתיה, יש לנו 5 ילדים, אנחנו גרים בחברון מזה 6 שנים, והיום אנחנו חודשיים גרים בשכונת נצח דוד, שכונה חדשה. זוכים לגור פה 3 משפחות בחלק הכי מערבי של חברון, פשוט פותחים שטח חדש לכל היישוב היהודי.
חברון הולכת ומתפתחת, הבתים שנגלים, השכונות שמתפתחות, גם נצח דוד זה חלק מהתהליך שקורה בכל יהודה ושומרון, אבל בטח בחברון בשנתיים האחרונות. אנחנו בטוחים שזה התחלה והמשך של פריצה של חברון. חברון הולכת לגדול ועם ישראל חוזר לארצו ועם ישראל חוזר לנחלת אבותיו, לחברון עיר האבות. זה מרגש השלב הזה שאנחנו נמצאים בו ואנחנו בטוחים שזה ילך ויתקדם.
אנחנו גרים פה באוטובוס מאחורינו עם 6 הילדים המתוקים שלנו. אנחנו ליד מסגד, בית ספר של ערביות. כאילו זה קצת ברמה הביטחונית, אנחנו עדיין כאן עוד מנסים להרגיש בטוחים.
בעזרת השם אנחנו מקווים שתהיה פה שכונה של ממש עם עוד משפחות וקרוונים יביאו לפה ונוכל לטייל פה בכל האזור, בשבילים, ברחובות. אברהם אבינו בא לגור פה, גם אנחנו שמחים על הזכות לגור פה, ואנחנו מרגישים גם את האבות ואת האימהות איתנו.
ואם תשאל את הילדים שלנו איפה הם רוצים לגור, בנצח דוד, או לחזור לבית הגדול והנקי שלנו בקריית ארבע, נראה לי שאתה תקבל את התשובה מכולם שהם רוצים לגור בנצח דוד, בלי להתלבט בכלל.
You know, the Jewish community of Hebron and the Hebron Fund, we have a lot of projects. Tomb of Ruth and Yishai, the new neighborhood of Ner Ben Ner, beautification of this site behind us, the community, the army. We got so many things that are happening here. We're connecting the Jewish people to the roots of our history, of our story, of our identity. You can beautify the land of Israel. You can make Judea flourish when you support the Hebron Fund.
We've never had an opportunity like this before. With your support, we can get those new security cameras to secure the families, floodlighting, playgrounds, and all the infrastructure that's needed in order to grow Hebron. So click on the link that you see on your screen, be a partner with us, and let's move Hebron forward like we've never done before. Thank you for your support.
All right, awesome. And I really do hope that you go to HebronFund.org and find my page, and that will be just great, and support us because we are moving forward. Baruch Hashem. With that, I want to thank you very much for being with me, and I will send you guys blessings wherever you are. We are doing so many things together, aren't we? We're fighting back bad guys. We're resettling the land. We're teaching the Bible. We're teaching the Abrahamic way. We are beautifying. We are renaming roads. We are bringing tractors to farmers. We're doing so much. And right now, we just got to help each other as warriors for God and warriors for Israel and warriors for truth. And so we got to find every which way to support each other, to visit one another, to give each other strength. Today, I saw some pastors and I said to them, if you're here right now, it's because God has chosen you to be here right now. It is hard to be here financially. It's hard to be here because your neighbors, your kids, your mom, everybody's scared for you to come here, and you're here right now. That means God has chosen you, handpicked you to come here right now. That's awesome. So I want to really wish everybody to be to feel that right now is the time not to be depressed. Now is the time to be strong, to give each other strength. And here at Yishai Fleisher TV, my team and myself are working so hard to try to connect you and to give you strength and to give you inspiration, to give you knowledge. We were just remarking today how hard it is to really share the knowledge of the land of Israel, but we're doing it. So that's Yishai Fleisher TV, where you can like, subscribe, comment, become a member, and check out our web store, our YouTube web store at Yishai Fleisher TV. You can also support us at fightforisrael.org, fightforisrael.org with a 4, and buymeacoffee.com/Yishai. There's so much that we're doing, Sometimes, the smallest thing you could do is pray for our strength, and we're praying for your strength back. Send us a blessing. Blessing comes right back to you. It's just a great deal. It's like free. Bless us, and you'll get a blessing right back. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that just so cool to have that such a free deal to get a blessing from God just by blessing Israel? That's like such an easy one. It's a gimme. Just bless Israel, and you'll be blessed. Whoa. Basic stuff. But what a deal. What a deal. And somebody told me, he said to me, my brother-in-law said, listen, the Arabs are great negotiators, but we've negotiated the deal a long time ago, and there's nobody who's going to change that deal. We negotiated the deal, the blessings of the land and the blessing of the children of the Jewish peoplehood, and the blessings of return and the blessings of that third temple. I hope that you have third temple consciousness, Jerusalem consciousness in your life. I hope that God sends you his blessings, sends you his face to you and your family. I want to thank you so much for being with us. Be a fighter. Be part of the story wherever you are. Lots of love, lots of goodness, lots of blessings from the land of blessings. And we'll see you throughout the week at Yishai Fleisher TV and soon in the good land of Israel and soon in the third temple. So God bless you wherever you are, and shalom.